Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. The question is, will you let his betrayal break you, or will you use it to build yourself into something he never imagined? Let me tell you a secret. Revenge is never about them, it's about you. The best way to make someone regret hurting you is not through anger, not through tears, but by rising so high that they can't even reach your shadow. They expect you to cry, they expect you to beg. But when you do this instead, their mind will crumble under the weight of their own actions. Are you ready? There's an old saying, the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. And yet, when someone hurts us, what is our first instinct? We react. We scream, we cry, we beg, we demand answers. We flood their phone with messages. We stalk their social media, trying to make sense of the betrayal. But tell me, has that ever worked? Has any amount of desperation ever brought back dignity? A man expects you to be broken. He expects your emotions to revolve around him. The moment you show that he has shattered you, you have handed him victory on a silver platter. But what happens when you do the opposite? What happens when you vanish? When you don't call, don't text, don't even flinch. That, my dear, is when the real game begins. Silence is a language louder than words. When you disappear like a ghost, you trigger something deep in his mind. Uncertainty, doubt, panic, because now he has no idea what you are thinking. And that uncertainty is like an itch he cannot scratch, a puzzle he cannot solve. The moment you stop reacting, he starts overthinking. He will wonder, did I really hurt her? Did she even care? Is she with someone else? Why is she not chasing me? And that, my dear, is the first seed of regret. Let me give you an example. Imagine two women. One, after being hurt, cries, begs, and pleads for an explanation. She texts paragraphs, calls multiple times, leaves voice messages, trying to get closure. And what does the man do? He feels validated. He thinks, she still wants me. I still have power over her. He may even ignore her completely, enjoying the control. Now imagine the second woman. The moment he disrespects her, she simply disappears. No drama, no anger, no emotional outburst. Just an eerie, powerful silence. Days pass. Weeks pass. She doesn't check his social media, doesn't try to accidentally bump into him. She simply vanishes. Which woman do you think he will regret losing? A woman who disappears, creates an empty space in a man's mind, and that space will torment him. The absence of her voice, her presence, her energy, it will become a void he didn't expect. And the mind, dear one, hates empty spaces. It will try to fill that void with questions, assumptions, and memories. There's a reason why people say you don't know what you have until it's gone. Because as long as you are there, crying, calling, waiting, he knows he still has access to you. But when you disappear, you become a mystery. And men chase mysteries. Have you ever noticed how much people value things they can't have? A bag that is out of stock becomes more desirable. A concert ticket that is sold out makes people want it even more. The psychology is simple. Scarcity creates value. The more available you are, the less valuable you seem. The more you disappear, the more your worth increases in his mind. And here is the ultimate truth. Your silence forces him to face himself. As long as you keep running after him, he has a distraction. But when you remove yourself completely, he is left alone with his own thoughts. He will start to reflect on his actions, to analyze what he did wrong. He will begin to wonder if losing you was his biggest mistake. That realization, my dear, is his regret taking root. Think about it like this. If you touch fire, your first reaction is to pull away, right? Because fire burns. Now, imagine if instead of pulling away, the fire started chasing you. That would be strange, wouldn't it? You wouldn't fear it. But if the fire stays in one place, strong and untouchable, you learn to respect it. The same applies to you. The more you chase him, the less he respects you. The moment you stop, he starts to feel the burn. And don't get it wrong, this is not about playing games. This is about recognizing your worth. This is about understanding that a man who hurts you does not deserve your energy, your tears, or your attention. If he truly valued you, he would have never put you in a position where you had to question your importance. Women often ask, what if he forgets me? Oh, darling, he won't. A woman who reacts is forgettable. A woman who disappears, she is unforgettable. Because silence leaves an imprint, a ghost of a memory that lingers in the deepest corners of the mind. One day he will hear a song and think of you, smell a perfume and feel your presence. Pass by a place you used to go together and suddenly be overwhelmed with nostalgia. And by then you will be long gone, unbothered, living a life he can no longer reach. And that, my dear, is how you make him regret it. There is something about mystery that captivates the human mind. The unknown is addictive. The things we cannot fully understand, the puzzles we cannot solve, the stories left unfinished, they haunt us, they stay with us. And this is why when you become a woman of mystery, you don't just exist in his memories. You live there rent-free without even trying. Men are wired for curiosity. They are hunters by nature, not just in the physical world, but in the mental world too. They are drawn to what they cannot fully grasp, to what feels just beyond their reach. And yet, most women do the exact opposite. They lay their entire soul bare. They explain everything. They try to be understood completely. But tell me, where is the attraction in that? Imagine two books. One book has every detail, every secret, every plot twist written right on the first page. The other book reveals only bits and pieces, making you turn the pages with anticipation, wondering what's next. Which book would you want to read? Which book would stay on your mind, making you crave more? You already know the answer. This is why the moment you stop being predictable, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you leave parts of yourself undiscovered, you become magnetic. A man will start to think about you in ways he never did before. He will wonder, what is she thinking? What is she doing? Why do I feel like I never really knew her? And that thought alone will begin to consume him. People crave certainty. They want to categorize things neatly into boxes. This is how she feels. This is what she will do next. This is how she will react. The moment you break that pattern, the moment you refuse to be predictable, you become unforgettable. Think about the women who hold power, the women who command attention without even trying. They are not the ones who share every detail of their lives, who constantly seek validation, who always explain themselves. No, they are the ones who leave people wondering. They are the ones who can be in a crowded room, yet still feel like a mystery. And that is exactly what makes them irresistible. Now, let's take a simple example. Imagine you were dating someone who always told you everything. What they were thinking, what they were feeling, what they planned to do next. At first it might seem nice, but soon you will get bored. Why? Because there's nothing left to discover. Now imagine dating someone who gives you just enough, but never too much. Someone who keeps you intrigued, who surprises you, who makes you think. That is the person who stays on your mind long after they are gone. A woman of mystery does not announce her every move. She does not seek validation by proving her worth with words. She does not try to justify her decisions. She simply is. And that quiet confidence shakes a man to his core. You must understand that men expect reactions. They expect a woman to cry, to argue, to explain. And when you refuse to do any of that, when you choose silence over explanation, grace over desperation, you leave them unsettled. You make them question themselves. You make them chase. Have you ever noticed how much power lies in the pause of a conversation? In that moment when someone finishes speaking and instead of responding immediately, you just wait. That pause alone makes people uneasy. It makes them wonder what's going on in your mind. It makes them desperate to fill the silence. This is the power of being unpredictable. Most women, when they are hurt, rush to prove their worth. They want to show how much they cared, how much they gave, how deeply they loved. But the woman who pulls back, who remains poised, who does not give the satisfaction of a reaction, she becomes an enigma. And an enigma is something a man cannot ignore. Think of the ocean. It is vast, deep, and impossible to fully understand. People are drawn to it because of its mystery, because of the way it can be calm one moment and powerful the next. A woman should be like that. Not a still pond that reveals everything at once, but an ocean unpredictable, mesmerizing, and limitless. A man should never feel like he completely has you. The moment he does, he stops trying. He stops valuing. But when he feels like there's always something more to discover about you, when he realizes that he will never fully understand the depths of your mind, that is when he becomes obsessed. That is when he regrets ever taking you for granted. So don't be the woman who gives too much too soon. Don't be the woman who explains herself away, who allows her emotions to be easily read like an open book. Instead, be the woman who leaves spaces in between her words. The woman who makes people wonder. The woman who cannot be easily defined. Because the moment you become a mystery, you become unforgettable. There is an art to rebuilding yourself after pain. Most people think healing is about time. They say, give it time and you'll move on. But tell me, how many people have spent years waiting, only to find themselves trapped in the same cycle of thoughts, the same memories, the same regrets? Time alone does nothing. It is what you do with that time that changes everything. When someone hurts you, the biggest mistake you can make is sitting in that pain, allowing it to define you. A wound that is left open will never heal. You have to actively close it. And the most powerful way to do that? Level up. Make the pain your fuel, not your prison. Turn every moment of suffering into a stepping stone for something greater. Imagine this. You were just betrayed, disrespected, or abandoned by someone you trusted. Now you have two choices. One, you can sit there replaying the story, asking yourself why it happened, wondering if you weren't good enough, if you should have done something differently. Or two, you can take that pain and use it. You can let it sharpen you, refine you, make you unstoppable. Every successful person you admire has a story of pain. No one rises from comfort. It is always the heartbreak, the rejection, the failure that creates the strongest, most unshakable people. You think the most powerful women in this world never had their hearts broken? You think they never cried over someone who didn't see their worth? Of course they did. But the difference is, they took that pain and transformed it into power. Think about it. If a fire burns down a house, you have two choices: stand in the ashes and cry, or build a castle on top of it. Which one do you think will make them regret losing you? Because here's the truth. Nothing makes a person regret their actions more than seeing you rise higher than they ever imagined. Picture this. A woman gets left by a man who thought she would never survive without him. At first she feels broken. She wants to reach out, to beg for closure, to show him how much she cared. But then something shifts. She makes a decision not to let this define her, but to let it ignite her. She hits the gym, she starts a business, she surrounds herself with people who inspire her. She upgrades every part of her life, her mind, her body, her energy. Months later, she walks into a room, radiating confidence. And that man, he sees her, and suddenly he realizes he lost something rare, but by then it's too late. Because she has become someone he can no longer reach. This is the secret. When you focus on yourself, on your growth, on your elevation, you automatically shift the power dynamic. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. The moment you stop needing them is the moment they start missing you. A man expects you to cry, to be weak, to wait for him. That's what the average woman does. But when you break that pattern, when you become better instead of bitter, you turn into something he never expected. A woman he can no longer control, no longer predict, no longer have access to. Look around you. Look at the people who have been through the worst and yet stand the tallest. The woman who was cheated on, but instead of falling apart, she built a life so powerful that she became untouchable. The girl who was abandoned, but instead of begging, she became so magnetic that she now has the world chasing her. These are the people who understand that pain is not meant to break you, it is meant to shape you. Every time you feel that ache in your chest, that sting of betrayal, that loneliness creeping in, use it. Go harder in your workouts. Push further in your career, educate yourself, elevate your style, become so focused on your own success that you don't even have time to look back. There is no revenge greater than self-improvement. There is no silence louder than success. The best way to make someone regret losing you is to become the version of yourself they never believed you could be. People always come back when they see what they lost, but by then you won't even care, because you'll be too busy winning. There is an unspoken power in silence. Most people think that to prove a point, they need to argue, explain, and justify themselves. They think words will make someone see their worth, feel their pain, or regret their actions. But tell me, have you ever truly changed someone's heart by begging for them to understand? Have you ever won someone back by explaining how much they hurt you? No, because words are weak when they come from desperation. Silence, on the other hand, is deafening. When someone hurts you, they expect a reaction. They expect tears, anger, long paragraphs filled with emotions. That's what they're prepared for. But the moment you give them silence, the moment you refuse to engage, you shatter their expectations. You leave them in a void they weren't ready for. And that void, it drives them crazy. Think of it like this. When a phone keeps ringing and ringing, the caller is in control. But the moment the phone is turned off and they can no longer reach the person on the other end, panic sets in. They start wondering, what happened? Why isn't she answering? Did she move on? Is she happy without me? That silence is louder than any words could ever be. Silence forces reflection. When you engage in arguments, when you try to make someone see their mistake, you give them an opportunity to defend themselves, to justify their actions, to manipulate the narrative. When you say nothing, they are left alone with their own thoughts. They have no choice but to face themselves, to question their actions, to wonder why you are no longer responding. Imagine this. You've been wronged by someone. Your instinct is to send a message, to call, to express your pain, but instead you do the opposite. You disappear. You don't block them, you don't beg, you don't chase, you simply remove yourself. Days pass, weeks pass, and suddenly that person starts to notice the silence. At first they think you're just mad, that you'll come back. But when the silence stretches longer, doubt creeps in. And that doubt, it eats away at them. They start checking your social media, asking people about you, replaying old conversations in their mind. This is the moment when regret begins to set in, because they realize you are not reacting like everyone else. You are not giving them the drama they expected. You are not making it easy for them to justify what they did. Instead, you have become a mystery, and mystery is irresistible. Think about history. The greatest leaders, the most powerful individuals, they never wasted their breath on people who didn't deserve their energy. They knew that power is not in screaming, it's in withholding. The most intimidating people in any room are not the ones speaking the loudest, but the ones watching, calculating, controlling their responses. Now let's take a real-life example. Imagine two women who have just been ghosted by a man. One sends paragraphs, calls repeatedly, and demands an explanation. The other, she doesn't send a single message. She goes on with her life, improving herself, glowing, thriving. Which one do you think will haunt his mind? Which one will he regret leaving? Always, always the one who said nothing. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to deal with emotions they were not prepared for. And the irony is, the moment you go silent, they start making noise, they reach out, they try to reconnect. They suddenly become curious about you again. But by then you've already moved forward. The real strength is in control. Control over your emotions, control over your reactions, control over your energy. When you give someone silence, you are showing them that their actions are not worth your words. And that is the most powerful response of all. Pain is a currency. The more of it you have, the more powerful you can become if you use it correctly. But most people, when they get hurt, they waste their pain. They sit in it, drown in it, let it consume them. They become prisoners of their suffering, chained to memories, replaying the past like a broken record. But let me tell you something. Pain was never meant to weaken you. Pain was meant to forge you into something unbreakable. When someone hurts you, the first instinct is to break down, to ask why, to seek closure. But tell me, what will you do when closure never comes? What will you do when the person who hurt you moves on without a second thought, while you sit there holding on to the pieces of something that no longer exists? Will you let that pain swallow you whole, or will you turn it into the fire that fuels your transformation? Look around you. Every great success story has pain at its core. Every strong person you admire has been broken at some point. But they didn't stay broken. They took that pain and built with it. They turned heartbreak into ambition. They turned betrayal into wisdom. They turned rejection into a reason to rise so high that the people who hurt them could no longer reach them. Think of it like a gym. The heavier the weights, the stronger you get. But only if you lift them. If you just sit there staring at them, feeling sorry for yourself, nothing changes. Pain works the same way. You can let it crush you, or you can let it carve you into the most powerful version of yourself. The choice is yours. Imagine this. Two people go through the exact same heartbreak. One lets it destroy them. They stop taking care of themselves. They lose confidence. They become bitter, afraid to love again. The other person, they use the pain as fuel. They get up earlier. They work harder. They invest in themselves. They become so magnetic that they no longer have to chase anyone, because now everyone is drawn to them. Tell me, which one wins? Which one gets the last laugh? Always, always the one who uses their pain instead of being used by it. Most people think revenge is about making the other person suffer. But the real revenge, it's in becoming so powerful that their absence means nothing. It's in reaching a place where the pain they caused you turns into the very thing that made you unstoppable. The world respects those who rise from the ashes. No one remembers the ones who stay broken. So take your pain, hold it tight, and mold it into something legendary. Because nothing shakes the world more than a person who turned their suffering into their strength. A man never realizes the value of a diamond until he sees someone else ready to cherish it. When a man has hurt you, taking you for granted, or walked away thinking you will always be there, the greatest lesson you can teach him is to let him see another man admire you. Most women, when hurt, retreat into a shell. They disappear, they cry, they isolate themselves, they want love, they want support. But who would realize that we need those limps? Who is washing away what he's wished in an hour? Any enemy is no more. But let me tell you something. Suffering in silence does nothing to change the game. It only gives him the satisfaction of knowing he still holds power over you. But the moment he sees another man admire you, respect you, desire you, that's when his illusion of control shatters. That's when he realizes what he lost. Have you ever noticed how people only start missing something once they see someone else enjoying it? It's human nature. The toy a child ignores for months suddenly becomes the most valuable thing when another child picks it up. The person who ignores your presence suddenly becomes obsessed the moment they see someone else appreciating you. You don't need to post sad quotes. You don't need to send messages hoping for closure. The only thing you need to do is level up so much that you become undeniable. Walk into a room with confidence so fierce that heads turn. Elevate yourself in such a way that another man sees your worth, and make sure the one who hurt you sees it too. It's not about making him jealous. It's about reminding him that you were never the problem, you were always the prize. He was just too blind to see it. But now, someone else does. And that burns deeper than any words you could ever say. Think of this. Two women go through the same heartbreak. One isolates herself, hoping he will come back. The other steps into her power, embraces her beauty, and lets another man admire the very qualities he once ignored. Tell me, which one do you think he regrets losing? Because here's the truth. Men are wired for competition. The moment they see another man valuing what they once had, they start questioning everything. Was she really that amazing? Did I make a mistake? Why does she seem happier without me? The doubt eats away at them. The regret creeps in. And that's when the tables turn. There is no greater revenge than being adored in a way he never could give you. There is no greater power than watching him watch you thrive in someone else's admiration. Let him see it. Let him feel it. Let him sit with the regret of what he threw away. Because nothing haunts a man more than knowing another man now has what he took for granted. Happiness is the most powerful weapon you have. When someone hurts you, when someone betrays your trust, they expect one thing: your misery. They expect you to break, to drown in sorrow, to become a shadow of who you used to be. But when you do the opposite, when you radiate happiness without them, it shakes them to the core. Because nothing haunts a person more than realizing they were not as important to your happiness as they thought. Most people believe happiness comes from relationships, from validation, from someone else's presence. But the truth is, real happiness has always been an inside job. No one owns it, no one controls it, and the moment you understand that, you become unshakable. When a man sees that his absence hasn't dimmed your light, but has actually made you shine brighter, it disrupts his entire ego. Imagine this: you've been hurt, left behind, treated as if you were replaceable. Your instinct is to show your pain, to make him understand how much he has damaged you. But what if instead you stepped into a version of yourself that glows so brightly that the very thought of you becomes inescapable? What if instead of crying over what was lost, you laughed, you thrived, you flourished in ways he never expected? That is the kind of transformation that leaves a permanent scar on the minds of those who doubted you. Let's talk about the psychology of regret. People only regret losing something when they see it flourishing without them. If he sees you bitter, angry, stuck in the past, he will feel justified in his action. He will think, see, she was never strong without me. But when he sees you radiating happiness, glowing in your own world, laughing louder, walking taller, that's when the regret sets in. That's when he realizes he didn't break you. That's when he understands that the power he once thought he had over you was nothing more than an illusion. Look around. Every powerful woman, every woman who commands respect has one thing in common. She does not beg for love. She does not chase. She does not crumble when someone leaves. Instead, she uses every heartbreak as fuel to become even greater. And that greatness, it terrifies those who underestimated her. Think about celebrities, public figures, or even women in your own life who went through devastating breakups. The ones who stayed stuck, who let their pain define them, faded into the background. But the ones who came back stronger, the ones who embraced their power, who focused on their own happiness, they became unforgettable. There is no greater revenge than pure, undeniable joy. Not fake happiness, not pretending to be okay for the sake of appearances, but real, deep, unshakable joy that radiates from within. When you are truly happy, you become magnetic, you attract opportunities, people, admiration, and the one who let you go, he will watch from the sidelines, realizing too late that he was just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. You do not need closure, you do not need apologies. The only thing you need is to be so genuinely happy that his memory becomes irrelevant. And when he finally looks back, when he finally understands what he lost, he will not find you waiting. He will only find the echo of a woman who no longer needs him to shine. Closure is a lie we tell ourselves to keep holding on. The idea that someone who broke you will suddenly wake up with the right words to heal you. It's an illusion. A trap that keeps you stuck in the past. You don't need closure. You need clarity. And clarity comes the moment you decide that their explanation, their apology, their guilt, none of it is required for your peace. Look at the world around you. So many people waste months, years, waiting for the person who hurt them to come back and say, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that." But tell me, what if that day never comes? What if the apology you're waiting for is something they will never give? Will you keep your happiness on hold until then? Will you keep pressing rewind on a chapter that has already ended? The truth is, closure is not something they give you, it is something you give yourself. It is the moment you decide, I don't need their words, I don't need their remorse, I don't need them to validate my pain. I am enough to move forward on my own. Because real strength is in walking away with your head held high, knowing you are too valuable to beg for an explanation. Think about it. If someone broke you, disrespected you, walked away without looking back, what makes you think they hold the wisdom to give you peace? If they understood your worth, they never would have hurt you in the first place. And if they didn't value you then, they won't magically develop that wisdom now. So why chase answers from someone who was never wise enough to see your value? Let me tell you a secret. People who truly regret losing you will never be able to put it into words, because their regret is not about apologizing. It is about realizing too late that they lost something they will never find again. And that is a pain far greater than any apology could ever express. Imagine this. Two people go through heartbreak. One waits for closure, replaying conversations, analyzing texts, hoping for a final message that never comes. The other person decides, I will create my own closure. They block the past, step into their power, and become so unshakable that the person who left them becomes irrelevant. Tell me, who wins? Who takes back control? Always the one who moves forward without waiting. You don't need a final conversation. You don't need their acknowledgement. The moment you decide to close the door yourself, you win. The moment you stop waiting for them to explain, to validate, to recognize what they did, you become untouchable. Because the most powerful people in this world are not those who get closure. They are the ones who walk away without it, knowing that their destiny is too great to be held hostage by someone who never deserved them. The story you tell yourself becomes the reality you live in. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every disappointment. It is not the event itself that destroys you, but the way you choose to interpret it. If you tell yourself, I was abandoned, I was not enough, I was played, I was used, then that is the reality you will live in. But what if instead you changed the narrative? What if you decided that this was not a tragedy, but a transformation? That this was not rejection, but redirection. That this was not the end, but the beginning of something far greater. The most powerful thing you can do after someone hurts you is to reclaim control of your story. Because here's the truth, pain is inevitable. But suffering, that is a choice. Two people can go through the exact same heartbreak. One drowns in self-pity, repeating the same story. I was betrayed, I was not good enough, I will never love again. The other rises from the ashes saying, this was a lesson, I am stronger now and I will attract something far greater. Tell me, who wins? Who takes back their power? You have to stop seeing yourself as a victim. Not because what happened wasn't painful, not because it wasn't unfair, but because the moment you cast yourself as the victim, you give away your power. And power, that is something you never ever hand over to someone who did not have the wisdom to cherish you. Think about the greatest success stories in the world. The ones who rise, the ones who become legends, the ones who transform their pain into power. None of them sat in a corner weeping over what was lost. They rewrote their story. They decided that what broke them would build them. They turned betrayal into a breakthrough. They turned rejection into redirection. They turned heartbreak into their highest evolution. And that is exactly what you must do. Imagine this. You are standing at a crossroads. One path leads you to the same old story. He hurt me, I am broken, I will never trust again. But the other path? That is where you rewrite your destiny. He hurt me, but he also freed me. Now I am wiser, now I am stronger, now I am unstoppable. The choice is yours. Will you be the one who crumbles or the one who conquers? There is a reason why some people become more powerful after heartbreak, while others remain stuck in their wounds for years. It is not about luck, it is not about time, it is about the story they choose to believe. And the story you believe, that becomes the reality you live. You were never a victim. You were a lesson he was not ready for, a storm he could not weather, a masterpiece he did not know how to hold. And now you rise. Now you turn the page. Now you step into the greatest version of yourself, not in spite of what happened, but because of it. Karma is not something you need to chase. It is not your job to make them suffer, to make them see your worth, or to make them regret what they did to you. The universe has a way of balancing every action, every intention, every betrayal. It may not happen when you want it to. It may not happen in front of your eyes. But trust me, no one escapes the consequences of their own actions. The energy you put out is the energy that returns to you. And that law, it is unshakable. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone who wronged others? Someone who manipulated, lied, or used people truly live a peaceful life? On the surface, they may appear happy, successful, and untouched by the pain they caused. But deep down, something always follows them. Restlessness, emptiness, a cycle of broken relationships. And sooner or later, life catches up. Let's say someone cheated on you, played with your emotions, made you feel like you were not enough. And now, they're out there, laughing, moving on as if nothing happened. Your ego screams for revenge. Your heart wants them to feel the same pain they put you through. But here's the secret. Your silence, your indifference, your ability to move forward with grace is the biggest lesson they will ever receive. Because while you grow, while you rise, while you become someone they can never touch again, they will be stuck in their own cycle, repeating the same mistakes, attracting the same empty situations, facing the same storms they once created for others. Karma does not operate on your timeline, but it is always at work. The man who thought he could break your heart without consequence, he will meet someone who will teach him the same lesson. The one who disrespected you, who took you for granted, he will long for someone like you when it is too late. It always happens. Not because you wished for it, not because you sought revenge, but because the universe has a perfect balance. And what you put out always comes back. Imagine this. You spend all your time trying to prove a point, trying to make them regret, trying to show them they lost something precious. But in doing so, you remain tied to them. You let them control your emotions even in their absence. And while you stay stuck in that loop, they move on. Not because they are free, but because their soul is numb. The real victory, it is not in making them pay. It is in walking away so completely that their existence becomes irrelevant to your happiness. You must understand this. When you take revenge, when you seek to make someone suffer, you become tied to their energy. You drink the same poison you wanted them to taste. But when you let go, when you trust that karma will do what is necessary, you free yourself. And that is the highest form of power. Every single thing you do in this life will return to you. Every hurtful word, every selfish action, every moment of deception, it all circles back. Not because life is cruel, but because life is just. And the ones who hurt you, they will face their own mirror one day. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, when they least expect it, they will feel the weight of everything they once did. And by then, you will be so far ahead, so untouchable, so radiant in your own power, that they will not even have the chance to reach you again. There comes a moment in life when you realize that no amount of pain, no amount of betrayal, and no amount of heartbreak has the power to define you, unless you allow it. The truth is, no one who truly values you will ever make you beg for respect. No one who genuinely loves you will ever make you feel small. And no one who deserves your energy will ever force you to question your worth. You were not made to chase. You were not made to prove. You were not made to waste your divine power trying to convince someone to see your value. Because the one who walks away, the one who chooses to hurt you, the one who treats you like an option, Remember this, they were never your equal to begin with. When someone shows you their true colors, do not try to repaint them. When someone disrespects your love, do not offer them another chance to break you. A queen does not lower her crown for a fool who cannot recognize the kingdom she brings. Your greatest revenge is not tears, it is not begging, it is not proving a point. It is success. It is radiance. It is transformation. There is nothing more painful to those who underestimate you than seeing you rise. When they expect you to break, bloom instead. When they expect you to chase, disappear from their reach. When they expect you to suffer, let them watch as you build a life so magnificent that they can never be a part of it again. That is how you make them regret. That is how you win. Remember, the strongest souls are not born from comfort. They are shaped by storms. And you, my dear, are not just a survivor. You are a force. You are a lesson they will never forget. You are the one who got away. And someday when they sit in silence, when they realize what they lost, when they scroll through your life and see the fire in your eyes, the power in your presence, the joy in your being, they will know. They will know that the one thing they cannot undo is the day they lost you. You have a choice today. Stay stuck in pain or step into your power. Stay waiting for an apology that may never come, or become the woman they will regret losing for the rest of their life. What do you choose? Because the moment you decide, the universe listens. And destiny always favors the bold.